This programming is sponsored by the Dan L. Duncan Comprehensive Cancer Care Center at Baylor St. Luke's Medical Center, offering comprehensive cancer care that is compassionate, personalized, and driven by clinical research. More at stlukeshealth.org/cancer.
This is the Engines of Our Ingenuity, made possible by the Friends of KUHF Houston.
Today, let's look at the idea of risk homeostasis. The University of Houston's College of Engineering presents this series about the machines that make our civilization run and the people whose ingenuity created them. All living is living at risk. Life without risk isn't life at all. Walking the dog or climbing the Matterhorn, either one involves a level of risk. Either requires choices. Stepping into our bathtubs means balancing a small danger of breaking our necks against the great benefit of getting clean. Writer Malcolm Gladwell talks about the way we fit risk into our lives. To begin with, he reminds us, we could never use any of our machinery if we demanded perfect safety of all components all the time. Most failures are highly unlikely, and when they do occur, there's enough backup to protect us. Now, Gladwell says, look at a serious breakdown, say the 1979 accident at 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant. It grew out of a cascade of 5 minor mishaps, no one of which represented serious danger. But acting together, a stuck valve, an obscured indicator, a broken gauge, and 2 other minor troubles brought the reactor to the brink of meltdown. It's like the old idea that enough monkeys typing at random on typewriters for a long enough time would eventually produce the King James Bible. With so much technology in the world, so many components, every now and then a highly improbable group of nuisance flaws gives rise to a major disaster. The 1986 Challenger explosion followed a different but parallel scenario. That explosion was caused by a single glaring O-ring failure. But here the chain of coincidence lay in the sequence of decisions. No one decision was rash, but over time, a series of seemingly conservative decisions resulted in a launch that had to fail. O-rings on earlier flights had eroded without giving way. Something unsafe had begun to look safe. And so we reach the theory of risk homeostasis. It says we tend to accept a roughly constant level of risk. If life gets too safe, we begin taking chances. Pedestrians suffer more accidents in crosswalks than they do jaywalking. Jaywalkers know they're taking chances, and so they're careful. Pedestrians in crosswalks take their safety for granted, and they fail to protect themselves. When Swedes shifted from driving on the left side of the road like the English to driving on the right like the rest of Europe, they expected a rash of accidents. What happened was quite the opposite. The number of accidents fell dramatically as people became far more careful. One study shows that child-proof lids on medicine bottles has led to more kids getting into medicines. We became less careful about keeping medicines out of their hands. And so we incline to consume the safety of new devices and measures instead of keeping it. In the face of that, the safest among us are probably the ones who accept some level of risk and then keep an alert respect for danger, which is, after all, always present. I'm John Lienhardt at the University of Houston, where we're interested in the way inventive minds work.
This programming is sponsored by Trinity University, home to a community of diverse creators, innovators, and scholars driven to lead with energy and empathy. More information at trinity.edu/values.